Yo, so I've been getting some comments asking if I could post a chaos run and give my thought process as I go through it, and I finally hit a pretty decent Mei deck today, so after the obligatory one-shot in the boss clip, I'll give a full walkthrough of the chaos run I made this deck in, and hopefully give some good tips on how to best increase your chances at making good decks. The only thing I'll call out is, since I have the wrong Spire of Aromata, I basically hold off on playing any Mei cards until I draw that. I also use Unity to pull the moves out of the deck first. With enough move Unities, you'd rather thin out the deck so that your draws don't end up hitting a dead end early. And the rest is just your standard Mei Lin combo that you've probably all seen a million times already. I do wish I got a deck with 2 Rising Spires instead of just 1. It ends up a lot more consistent, even with just 3 move Unities or 2. Also way more useful for stuff like Judas where there's 2 phases. But I can't really complain because it took me this long to get a usable deck already, so... And there you go. The gear as usual is going to be shown at the very end of the video, so skip ahead if you want to see that. So onto the Chaos Run. This is a tier 15, which is, you really don't need that for Mei decks, because she doesn't really need that many different removes or neutral cards or divine epiphanies and all that. So you can do this on tier 13, tier 14, whatever. The starting choice also isn't really important at all, just because you only need to remove 2 cards on Mei. But you can convert the shield to save some points just in case you get divine epiphanies on the move Unity or Rising Spire. If you do, just make sure you remove it quickly before it steals epiphanies or even a copy at the first boss. I should have just taken the credits here, since converting that card is adding another copyable card to the deck, which we don't want, and I ended up skipping it anyways. All these are pretty much useless, I just picked whatever. For the first map, I like prioritizing battles just to get more epiphanies, but you should also try to get some shops to remove unique cards, and also look for the dimensional tunnel. The double question marks at the top mean the dimensional tunnel is there, so now I just need to figure out how to get there while hitting a couple shops to remove copyable cards, as well as enough battles to trigger epiphanies. I'll just be fast forwarding through a lot of this since there's not too much to say about some of it, just normal gameplay. This event's good for the free remove. You want to try to get rid of as many copyable cards as possible that aren't on your target character. That way you have better chances of hitting the ones you want on the boss. I use it on the shield here, but it would have been better to use it on a different character and just get rid of a unique card. And save the shield for maybe the Mutant sample convert. Hit the Whirlpool Epiphany there, so we just remove it at the very next shot. Probably the easiest delete, just hit them a couple times until they're not attacking and then repeat. So we hit the right Rising Spire Epiphany here, which means it runs alive. We don't even need multiple move Unities or anything. As long as you get 2 Rising Spires, the deck's usable, at least with Veronica. And the right Spirit Epiphany, that includes her cards too. I don't want to deal with the poison, so I just Veronica ult to skip the fight. So we actually hit the Mutant sample conversion. This event's normally really good because it gives you a free removal, but since we don't really need the extra points on Mei, and we also don't have a card to remove for her, I just toss it on a random card. Also, be careful using it on a basic from a character you're not building, since that turns the basic into a copyable card for the bosses, which you don't want. Got the best flame epiphany, so pretty lucky there. The 30% crit's not actually better since you lose the passion weakness, which adds a huge amount of damage to non-passion weak enemies. Neither of these are that great, but the first one I thought might be useful for a double Rising Spire deck just because it costs 4 AP to play both, so that could help with not having to use an AP battery like Mika. However, I didn't notice that it was Initiation or Outbreak, so it would be wasting one of the valuable first turn card slots, so it's not really worth it. Got lucky with the Epiphany events here, but unfortunately didn't get the right Mei Lin card. The question marks are usually worth taking a ton unless you've already gotten the Divine Epiphany rare event. Unlucky you didn't hit the Passion version of this, but the 30% one for own card's not bad at all, especially if you hit multiple move unities. So Unity finally showed up, and it's kind of late, so you just kind of have to hope that it hits Epiphany before or during the boss. Definitely should have fought this guy instead of just taking the badge, considering he gives you the badge and credits anyways, and especially because I also needed the Epiphany on Unity still, but it worked out. Just using the last shop here to remove the Flame Dragon card, you never really want that on Mei. Lucky to shut up on the boss itself, since without it I'd only have the Rising Spire worth copying, so this doubles the chances of getting something good. This ego reroll skill is also so useful. You just get to pick the Veronica whenever you want. There's copy number 1. This weapon's also a decent option on her, because aside from the 18% attack from the invasion, and the 15% from Foretold Rune, which isn't relevant for the event, there's not really much else other than Dopamine Injector. I also messed up pretty bad here by putting this on Mei, because I didn't realize it had the initiation tag on it, but in the end we got that mythic armor that lets you discard and draw at the beginning, so kinda saved. So overall, extremely strong start. Basically, we just need to hit one more copy of either Rising Spire or Move, and the deck's pretty good already. Now for interior, I like prioritizing the question mark nodes, that way you clear out a lot of events before you hit the second half, where the good events like copies are. There's also some really good ones, like the one that gives the Rocket Cape, which gives one draw on the first turn. Aside from that, you also want to hit as many shops as possible to keep thinning down the number of copyable cards by the time you hit the last boss. You also want to make sure you're on a path that will have 3 question marks after the last checkpoint, since that gives the best chances of a copy event. And as long as you already have the epiphanies you need, you don't really care about the battle nodes too much aside from some extra credits. I'll be fast forwarding a lot of this again, since it's pretty standard stuff. took this path with the campfire just because I don't need the Epiphany, so there's no point fighting. Don't need any neutrals on this build, so I just take the lowest roll and get out of there. Also avoid taking any throwaway neutrals in other characters just because it adds a copyable card. Nice to get this one early just because it's pretty useless and it often takes up a slot after the last checkpoint, which could have been a copy event. Still no idea what this guy does, by the way. He just kind of falls over and dies. So Dopamine's actually a pretty good choice for Mei as long as you use your move unity to draw from the draw pile and not from the graveyard. But at the time I wasn't sure if it counted at all, so I didn't end up taking it. It was nice to see this guy, but I already had all the Epiphanies, so didn't really do anything for this run. So the goal with the shops is still to remove all the unique cards from the other characters so that they can't be copy options on the last boss. At this point I only have 2 copyable cards on Veronica and 3 on Mika. The cards with unique tags don't count since they can only have 1 in the deck. So after getting rid of 1 more on Mika, I refresh the shop to see if I can get any important items, but it's better to save credits for removes just because I don't have that many. I'm pretty sure this event also likes to pop up after the checkpoint, so getting it out of the way early is nice. There's only so many different events, so by hitting some of them early, you remove them from the pool for the second half, which gives you a higher chance of hitting the copy one. So we've hit the checkpoint, which means we're in the second half now, so any of the question mark nodes can now be the copy event. I would normally just Veronica ult to skip this, but it's not hard and I might as well see if I can just kill it without it hitting me anyways. So Quantum Collector is actually a pretty good option here because on the first turn you have 3 upgrades from Veronica and 1 from Mei, so you get a 80% multiplicative boost on that first turn. By now I'm only left with 3 copyable cards on Veronica and 2 on Mika, and the Pendant can still hit the Epiphany that makes it unique, which removes it from the pool anyways, so here I just remove something else. This now takes us down to 2 copyable cards on Veronica and 2 on Mika. And Mei has 3, 2 of which we want, so 2 out of the 7 cards are good options now. Just in time for the copy event, which we actually hit. Unfortunately, still haven't seen the rare version of this, but the regular one's good enough. So now that we hit the 3rd copy of Unity, the deck's pretty much good no matter what happens from here. Ideally, you would want 2 Rising Spires, just because it's more flexible and consistent. You don't really need many stacks to kill anything with 2 of them. And it's also more useful for 2-phase bosses like Judas, since you can nuke both phases. Luckily we hit the unique version of this Pendant here, which removes it from the copy pool, so that only leaves 1 copyable card with Veronica now. And using this final shop to remove 1 more on Mika leaves us with 1 on Veronica, 1 on Mika, and 3 on Mei, 2 of which we want, so all 3 would have to miss for us to not get any of the copies we want. Which has happened plenty of times, but it's pretty good chances. So, final boss and we're done. We had good chances to hit second Rising Spire here, but can't really complain with the fourth move Unity. Also got really lucky with this final gear drop. That armor fixes the Forbidden card that I shouldn't have added. This armor would also fix the initiation issue if you did have 2 Rising Spires, since if you draw through your entire deck, you'll then reshuffle, and you'll have at the very end where the only cards you have remaining are the Rising Spires. But yeah, there's the full run, and hopefully that was useful and you learned something from it. I'll show the final deck again, and then I'll leave you guys with the gear and builds for all the characters. Thanks for watching, and if you found this useful, feel free to leave a like and sub. I might do more guide type videos in the future.
Hima